You cannot cheat the harvest. It's one of the most fundamental laws woven into the fabric of creation, and it applies to far more than just farming. In Galatians chapter 6, verse 7, Paul delivers one of Scripture's most sobering warnings. Be not deceived. God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. These words cut through our self-deception and wishful thinking like a knife. They remind us that we live in a moral universe where actions have consequences, where choices create destinies, where today's decisions become tomorrow's reality. You simply cannot plant corn and expect to harvest wheat. And you cannot sow destructive patterns in your life and expect to reap a beautiful future. Be not deceived. Paul starts with a warning because we have an incredible capacity for fooling ourselves. We tell ourselves that this one compromise won't matter, that we can indulge this habit without consequences, that the rules that apply to everyone else somehow don't apply to us. We convince ourselves that we're the exception, that we can beat the system, that we'll figure out a way to avoid the natural results of our choices. But Paul says, don't deceive yourself. Face reality. The harvest is coming. Then comes the stark declaration. God is not mocked. The word mocked here means to turn up your nose at someone, to treat them with contempt or disrespect. Paul is saying that God will not be treated as a fool. You cannot live as if his principles don't matter and then expect his blessing. You cannot ignore his wisdom and then complain when you experience the consequences. God has established laws that govern how life works, spiritual laws as real and unchangeable as the law of gravity. You can pretend they don't exist, but that doesn't make them go away. Jump off a building and gravity will have its say. Sow destructive seeds and the harvest will come. The principle itself is beautifully simple. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. If you plant apple seeds, you get apple trees. If you plant weeds, you get weeds. There's a direct connection between what goes into the ground and what comes out of it. The same is true in every area of life. Sow dishonesty, reap distrust. Sow selfishness, reap loneliness. Sow laziness, reap poverty. Sow bitterness, reap isolation. The harvest always matches the seed. But here's where this principle becomes beautifully hopeful. It works both ways. If you sow destructive things, you'll reap destruction. But if you sow good things, you'll reap good things. Sow integrity, reap trust. Sow generosity, reap abundance. Sow kindness, reap meaningful relationships. Sow faithfulness, reap God's blessing. The same law that warns us also encourages us. Every good choice you make today is a seed planted for a better tomorrow. The challenge is that there's always a gap between sowing and reaping. Farmers understand this. You don't plant corn in the morning and harvest it in the afternoon. There's a season of waiting, of growth happening beneath the surface where you can't see it. This delay is where we get into trouble. We sow bad seeds, and when we don't immediately experience consequences, we think we've gotten away with it. Or we sow good seeds, and when we don't see immediate results, we get discouraged and give up. But the harvest is coming. It's always coming. The seeds are growing even when you can't see them. This means you need to think long-term about your life. Every day, you're planting seeds. The way you speak to your spouse, the integrity you show at work, the thoughts you allow to take root in your mind, the habits you're developing, the relationships you're investing in. These are all seeds, and every single one of them will produce a harvest. The question isn't whether you'll reap what you sow. The question is, what are you sowing? Maybe today you need to take an honest inventory. What kind of seeds have you been planting? Are you sowing things that will produce the future you want? If not, it's not too late to change. You can't undo the past, but you can start planting different seeds today. You can choose integrity over compromise. You can choose generosity over selfishness. You can choose faithfulness over convenience. And those seeds will grow. God is not mocked. The harvest is real. But that's good news when you're planting good seeds. So start today. Plant wisely. Plant faithfully. Plant with eternity in mind. Because the harvest is coming, and you will reap exactly what you sow.